The air was crisp and biting as the frost courier glided over the sparkling surface of the frozen lake. Snowflakes danced in the wind, adding a magical touch to the winter landscape. The sun hung low in the sky, casting a golden hue on the glistening ice, though the beauty of the scene masked an underlying tension. Inside the sled, the bride sat wrapped in layers of warm fabrics, her heart racing with anticipation and fear. As they approached the middle of the lake, she could feel the urgency in the driver's voice. "Hold on tight," he called out, his breath visible in puffs against the cold air. The weight of her dreams mingled with a sense of dread. Would they make it across safely? This journey was meant to bring her closer to her future, but lingering doubts crept in with every crack that echoed beneath them. The other riders exchanged nervous glances. They could sense something was off. Time seemed to stretch as they navigated deeper into the expanse of ice, but behind them loomed a figure, a man determined to halt their progress and challenge what love had set in motion. The bride, named Elara, had grown up in a quaint village surrounded by towering pines and shimmering streams. Her family, known for their love of storytelling, always spoke of finding true love in magical ways. As a child, Elara dreamed of marrying her childhood sweetheart, Jacob. Their connection was strong, built on shared laughter and whispered secrets under the stars. Elara's heart swelled with hope as she envisioned their future together, a life filled with joy and adventure. However, her family had always worried about her choice. Jacob came from humble beginnings, unlike the wealthy families they favored for alliance. Still, Elara knew deep down that love was far more important than riches. As the frost courier glided across the ice, she felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. Would they escape the shadow of doubt that loomed over their union? The icy journey felt daunting yet thrilling, a test of their commitment against nature and societal expectations. With each jolt of the sled, memories of Jacob flashed in her mind, his warm smile and supportive words. She clutched a small charm he had given her for luck. Determined to reach him and begin their life together, Elara steeled herself against any obstacles ahead. On the shore of the frozen lake, Jacob's father, Mr. Hawthorne, stood resolute, his face etched with worry and determination. A robust man with a gruff demeanor, he believed it was his duty to protect his son from what he saw as a misguided choice. To Mr. Hawthorne, wealth and status meant security, and he envisioned a prosperous future for Jacob with someone from a well-respected family. With every fiber of his being, Mr. Hawthorne felt that Elara's humble background could lead to hardship. He remembered his own struggles and the sacrifices made to rise above them. As he envisioned Jacob working hard to build a life with Elara, doubt crept into his mind. Would their love withstand the challenges that might come their way? He knew that love was important but was deeply concerned about what lasting happiness looked like for his son. With a heart heavy with concern, he made the fateful decision to intervene. Gripping his axe tightly, he prepared to confront the frost courier and make sure that Jacob understood the risks involved. His intentions were rooted in love, though they might soon lead to heartbreak for everyone involved. As the frost courier began its journey, the sled glided smoothly over the glassy surface of the frozen lake. Elara's heart raced with a mix of excitement and anxiety as the sound of the runners cutting through the ice echoed around her. The bright sun sparkled off the surface, creating a dazzling display that momentarily distracted her from her worries. The driver called out, urging the horses forward, and Elara could feel the energy shift among the passengers. Some were giggling in anticipation, while others held their breath, feeling the tension in the air. Every crack and creak of the ice beneath them sent shivers down their spines, amplifying both fear and thrill. As they ventured deeper onto the lake, Elara closed her eyes for a moment, imaging Jacob waiting for her on the other side. She could almost hear his voice whispering words of love and encouragement. But just as quickly, she felt a chill that had nothing to do with the winter air. It was a reminder of Mr. Hawthorne's looming presence and his firm disapproval. As they continued across the vast expanse of ice, uncertainty hung heavy in the air, reminding everyone aboard that true love often comes with great risks. As the frost courier continued its journey, an uneasy silence settled among the passengers. The cheerful laughter that once filled the air began to fade, replaced by an unsettling stillness. Suddenly, a loud crack reverberated beneath them, startling everyone. Elara's heart raced as she exchanged worried glances with those around her. The ice surface seemed to shift ominously, sending a ripple of fear through the group. A child sitting nearby clutched her mother's arm tightly, her wide eyes reflecting the growing tension. The driver, normally confident, now peered nervously at the ice ahead, his brow furrowed in concentration. Elara could feel the weight of anxiety pressing down on them all, each creak and groan of the ice made her pulse quicken. She looked out over the lake, where dark patches marred the smooth white surface, hinting at weak spots that warranted caution. Passengers shifted uneasily in their seats, whispers of concern creeping through the crowd. "What if we fall through?" someone murmured, voicing the dread that lingered in everyone's minds. Elara took a deep breath and gripped her charm tightly, hoping that love would outweigh the peril they faced as they ventured deeper into uncertainty. Just as the tension reached its peak, a figure appeared at the edge of the lake, silhouetted against the bright sun. It was Mr. Hawthorne, Jacob's father, marching with purpose and wielding two heavy axes. His brow was set in a determined scowl as he approached the Frost Courier, his eyes locked on the sled gliding across the ice. The sight sent a wave of shock through Elara and the other passengers. "Stop," he bellowed, his voice cutting through the chilly air like a knife. The driver halted, startled by the fierce command. Elara's heart sank as she realized what he intended to do. Mr. Hawthorne raised the axes high above his head, ready to strike the surface of the ice. Passengers gasped and scrambled back in fear. The driver shouted for everyone to hold on tight, but Elara felt frozen in place, torn between love and dread. "No," she cried out, desperate to reach Jacob and terrified at what her future father-in-law might unleash. With a powerful swing, Mr. Hawthorne brought down one axe against the ice, creating a deafening crack that echoed ominously across the lake. As shards splintered away, it was clear he would stop at nothing to sever their union, leaving everyone on board to grapple with the consequences of his actions. With a fierce determination, Mr. Hawthorne swung the axe down again, the blade slicing through the icy surface with a bone-chilling thud. The sound echoed across the lake, reverberating in the hearts of everyone aboard the Frost Courier. Elara's breath caught in her throat as she watched the ice shatter beneath his strike, large cracks spiderwebbing outward like a broken mirror reflecting despair. Chaos erupted on the sled as panic set in. Passengers screamed and scrambled for safety, clutching each other in fear. The driver shouted commands to hold on tight, but there was no controlling the rising tide of anxiety. Elara felt her world tilting, every jolt of the sled sent waves of panic through her, threatening to spill over into tears. "Stop. Please." Elara pleaded, her voice trembling as she leaned out to see Jacob's father better. But he remained focused, relentless in his effort to sever what he saw as a dangerous bond. The icy shards crunched underfoot as people rushed to one side of the sled, trying to balance against the terrifying instability. Elara's heart raced not only with dread for their safety but also for Jacob's future. Would his father really go this far? In that moment, everything they dreamed of seemed suspended over the gaping void below them. Elara's heart raced as the icy shards splintered beneath her, fear flooding her mind. She clutched her charm tightly, feeling its smooth surface against her palm, a small comfort in the midst of chaos. Panic surged around her, but deep down, a fierce determination began to rise. She couldn't allow Mr. Hawthorne's actions to destroy everything she had dreamed of with Jacob. As the sled rocked precariously, Elara's thoughts turned to Jacob, his smile, his laughter, and the love they shared. She envisioned their life together, filled with warmth and joy, and knew she had to fight for it. "This is not how it ends," she thought defiantly. Taking a deep breath, Elara stood up in her seat despite the chaos swirling around her. Her voice rang out above the fear and uncertainty. "Jacob! I love you," she shouted, hoping that he could hear her over the tumult. The words felt like a lifeline thrown into the stormy sea of doubt. With each breath, Elara felt a mix of fear and courage swell within her. She was not just a bride on a journey, she was a woman ready to stand up for her love against any obstacle, even if it meant facing Jacob's father head-on. Amid the chaos, Jacob stood frozen in disbelief as he watched his father's furious actions. His heart thudded painfully in his chest, torn between loyalty to his father and his deep love for Elara. The sight of Mr. Hawthorne swinging the axe filled him with a mix of anger and sorrow. How could he let this happen? The weight of his father's expectations bore down upon him, threatening to crush everything he held dear. In that moment, Jacob felt helpless. He could see Elara's fear etched on her face, her brave declaration ringing in his ears. "Jacob! I love you!" Her voice broke through the storm of emotions swirling inside him. It was a plea that ignited a fire within him, a desperate desire to protect her at all costs. Yet, what did it mean to defy his father? Mr. Hawthorne had always been a strong presence in Jacob's life, guiding his decisions and shaping his future. But now, watching the impact of his father's jealousy and fears, Jacob realized that following his father's wishes could cost him his happiness. Caught in the turmoil of love and obligation, Jacob faced an impossible choice: stand by Elara and embrace their love, or yield to his father's determination, forever altering the course of both their lives. As the chaotic scene unfolded, tension hung thick in the air, like a storm about to break. Elara stood firm, her heart pounding as she locked eyes with Jacob, seeking his support. The moment felt charged, as if time had slowed down just for them. She could see the internal struggle etched on his face, a reflection of her own turmoil. "Jacob," she called out, her voice steady but filled with emotion. "We can't let this fear silence our love." Her words echoed against the icy expanse surrounding them, reaching toward Mr. Hawthorne, who paused mid-swing, taken aback by her courage. Jacob swallowed hard, feeling torn between the weight of his father's expectations and the powerful connection he shared with Elara. He stepped forward, despite the chaos swirling around them. "Father, stop," he finally shouted, his voice breaking through the din of panic. "This isn't right." The confrontation had begun. Elara's eyes sparkled with determination as she faced both men, the father who raised Jacob and the love of her life. In that pivotal moment of decision, raw emotions spilled forth, love clashed with duty, hope battled despair. Each one stood at a crossroads, ready to reveal their true feelings and fight for what they believed in most. As the tension hung in the air, Jacob took a deep breath and stepped between Elara and his father. "Father, stop this madness. Can't you see how your actions are tearing us apart?" His voice was resolute, filled with both love and fear. Mr. Hawthorne hesitated, lowering his axes slightly as he met his son's intense gaze. The furious energy that had propelled him here began to wane as he saw not only Elara's determination but also the anguish in Jacob's eyes. The chaos around them quieted, leaving only the sound of creaking ice. "Elara," Jacob continued softly, turning to her with a pleading look. "I love you more than anything, but I can't bear to see my father like this." He took her hands in his, searching for understanding in her eyes. "I understand, Jacob," Elara replied, fighting back tears. "But we must fight for our love, it is worth it." At that moment, Mr. Hawthorne's heart shifted. He realized that while he wanted to protect his son from hardship, he was also pushing him away. With a heavy sigh, he dropped the axes completely. "Perhaps, I need to see the truth for myself," he said slowly, taking a step back to truly listen. This marked the beginning of a fragile understanding among them, a path toward compromise born from love and realization. As the Frost Courier continued its journey across the frozen lake, a sense of calm began to settle among the passengers. The confrontation had marked a turning point, revealing that love often requires courage and understanding to thrive. Elara and Jacob stood hand in hand, their hearts buoyed by a newfound hope, while Mr. Hawthorne watched his son with a mix of pride and concern. In the face of turmoil, they had learned that loyalty to family does not have to come at the expense of love. Instead, it can coexist, as long as hearts remain open to dialogue and change. Jacob felt the weight of his father's expectations lift slightly, replaced by the realization that true happiness often lies in following one's heart, even when faced with challenges. Elara reflected on her own journey, recognizing that love is not always straightforward, it is sometimes fraught with obstacles that test one's resolve. She knew they would face difficulties ahead, but together, they could navigate those uncharted waters. As they neared the other side of the lake, the sun broke through the clouds, casting golden rays upon them, a symbol of hope for their future. Bound by love and supported by family, they understood that every relationship is a delicate balance of commitment and understanding, where love can conquer fear.